Hello and greetings once again from Shelf Life Book Reviews Online. As always, I do thank you for taking the time to watch my video review, and hopefully you will find it informative, and the book I'm featuring this time out is one you will very seriously consider purchasing. And it is another one in the Dark Horse Books reproduction of classic EC comics. This one is The Haunt of Fear, the EC Archives Volume 3. And as I said, it's published by Dark Horse Books and it retails for $25.99. Anyone who has followed this great series of reprints from EC, entertaining comics, educational comics, whatever you wanted to call them, they were classic comics in the 1950s. Controversial, yes, and they had to change because of pressure from government and a psychologist. But still, watching them or reading them now is really a lot of fun because these books were classics. They had some of the greatest artists of the time, like Wally Wood and Jack Davis, and so many more were part of the ensemble. And this this book comprises issues number 13 to 18 of the series of The Haunt of Fear. And there are a lot of standout ones in this book. They're just so much fun to read, and the reproductions are really great as well too. They reproduce the covers. So these are actual reproductions of the book or the comics as they appeared nearly 75 years ago, and great reproductions of the covers. These covers were classics. I bet kids back in the day were just gobbled them up as soon as they went to the comic book store. They went there and I gotta have this one, and they really were a lot of fun, and the stories were a lot of fun too. Some of the standouts in this book are one called For the Love of Death. A man, he read the paper all the time to see what funerals were upcoming, so he had to go to the funerals because he wanted to see how people reacted to those who had died. He looked at the coffins, the people in the coffins, and he was so excited by it. So he wondered what it would be like if he had a funeral. So what he did was he hired somebody to dig up a coffin. So he went inside the funeral home and he actually hid himself inside of a coffin for one of the upcoming services. And so they had the funeral service and he was inside the coffin, and he was so touched by what people were saying, about the man who died, even though it wasn't him. So he planned when the coffin went to the cemetery to be buried, he was going to get out. But there was a twist here. It didn't go to the cemetery. The coffin went right to the crematorium, and it really burned him up, literally. And so it was a great ending. There's another one called Chatterboxed, about this man who they thought was dead. He had cataleptic fits where suddenly in the middle of the funeral service, he woke up. And so this was something that he had all the time. So what he had planned was he pre-bought a coffin. And so he had it fixed up with a telephone inside in the cemetery, that if anything happened that they thought he died again and they couldn't revive him and he was awake, he'd be in the coffin and he could call somebody. So sure enough, he was in a car accident. He was buried and he woke up in the coffin and he dialed 3 different numbers, and every number was busy. Now, this is the 1950s when you had busy signals. Today you wouldn't have that if he was in the ground. But so he ran out of time, he ran out of patience, and he ran out of air. So he died with his telephone in his hand. So it's kind of quirky things. There's another great one called Minor Error, with these little kids in the neighborhood. There's this boy in the house who never comes out of the house. His uncle's a creepy guy and tells the kids to get out of there. And so when the uncle goes away, they go to talk to the child, and he's just a young boy, and he says his uncle won't let him come out of the house. But they follow the uncle, and they see that he kills somebody and takes their blood, so they figure he's a vampire because there have been a lot of deaths in the city. And so one night they break into the house, they drive a stake through the uncle's heart, and then they go downstairs to free the little boy, and they find the little boy in the coffin. So obviously the uncle was getting blood for his nephew who was a vampire. So great twist to these stories. There are a lot of other standout in it, like A Creep in the Deep, Garden Party, Gorilla My Dreams, Bedtime Gory. You know, you gotta love the titles because they're great plays on words. And there's another series, The Old Witch's Grim Fairy Tales, where they took a fairy tale and they took it to extremes, a la The Haunt of Fear. So this is a great book. So if you're looking for another book from the EC archives, add this to your collection. There's still lots more to come out, and I will be reviewing some more in the not too distant future. So that's the book I wanted to feature for you today. And like I said, it's a classic. I loved every second of it. So until we meet again, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay sane, stay in touch, and I will see you at the bookstore. Bye for now.